I'm just the MC. I'm only going to speak to you for a couple of minutes before we start, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you all to Law Week 2012, which is now a national event. Law Week's the most significant community initiative on the legal calendar. Could I just ask everyone, make sure you turn off the mobile phones, particularly the barristers. The aim of Law Week is to bring the law to life, and that's what we're doing here today with a mock criminal trial presented by the Law Institute of Victoria and the Victorian Bar. Every day, the business of Victoria's law courts fills the morning newspapers, and every evening it features strongly on television's evening news. Our novels and films are full of it, from To Kill a Mockingbird to Underbelly. Even the magic pudding ends with a trial, the trial of the Puddin' Thieves. Criminal trials in particular command media and popular interest because they concern community safety and because of the human drama of criminal trials. Every trial's a story. Every trial has its cast of police, accused, witnesses, many of them colourful, as well as the lawyers and judges, some colourful as well, who conduct the cases. Every sentence imposed by the court sends a message to the community, and that's why the criminal law is part of Victoria's everyday life. And yet, to many of us, the trial process seems mysterious, sometimes even alienating. Why do witnesses have to be sworn in? Find out here. Incidentally, always good to watch how they hold the Bible. Sometimes they hold it really far from their head like that. Sometimes they hold it. Watch the witnesses. Why should they submit to questioning, sometimes strong questioning, by barristers dressed like Darth Vader? Why is evidence sometimes excluded by the judge? And why are there so many people sitting in court looking official and important? What is a senior counsel? What's an instructor? What's an exhibit? Now, the media can't be expected to explain all of this. Most of us don't have time to spend a week in court following a trial. We rely on the media. But of course, the media has to deal in short summary news bites. Even extended legal drama series on television often focus on the heroes and the characters, such as Jack McCoy from Law and Order, Horace Rumpole, or the lawyers depicted in the local dramas such as Rake. Naturally, these do not focus on the legal procedures. Even when the courtroom scenes arrive, they tend to feature selected dramatic questions and answers. And then we cut swiftly to the champagne popping scenes. Yet, as a community, we need everyone to grasp how criminal trials work. In that way, the community can be reassured of the benefits of the fair trial system, and yet can also engage in constructive and informed discussion and even criticism. So, tonight's proceeding has that aim. This is a mock trial which has been prepared by the Australian Advocacy Institute. It's realistic, it'll have atmosphere in this wonderful old Banco courtroom, and we hope it will answer some of the questions I mentioned earlier in a way that's both fun and informative. Most importantly, it's a great opportunity for you, the community, to engage with the law and scrutinise a criminal trial at close quarters from start to finish. Stripping away the mystery of the process will help us all. Now, tonight's mock trial concerns a charge against a woman named Evelyn Cannon. The Director of Public Prosecutions has charged Ms Cannon with possession of cocaine. So the case is named the DPP versus Evelyn Cannon. Will she receive a fair trial? Will she be found guilty? As we'll see, that is, we say, entirely a matter for you, or those of you who are chosen as jurors in this case. Presiding over the trial, we're lucky to have Justice Terence Forrest appearing. Justice Forrest will be seated here, and his associate, James Cameron, is seated here. Appearing to represent the Director of Public Prosecutions in this trial will be Mr Michael Croucher, Senior Counsel, and Ms Karen Argyropoulos with him. Appearing for the defence of Ms Cannon Ms Jane Dixon of Senior Counsel, and Mr Justin Hanbury. Nick Chiock, Christina Beisman are their respective instructing solicitors, and Vivek Anand, Tim Goff, Tabitha Finn and Luke Ortesi are the witnesses, and James Cameron, as I've said, is the judge's associate, who is in charge of running the court. Evidence will be given from this witness box, holding this dangerous item, and the accused will take her place in the dock, which is temporarily for these proceedings located over there in that small circular box. All of these players bring real-life experience and flair to their roles, and we thank them all for participating. But crucially, it's you, at least those of you selected as part of the jury, who will determine the fate of the defendant, Ms Cannon. You, in particular, will experience the process and the thought which underpins the law. So I hope you enjoy this first-hand look at a criminal trial, and that you go home with a better understanding of the legal system and a greater connection with the law. Thanks very much.
Silence, all stand and remain standing. All persons having business before this honourable court are commanded to give their attendance, and they shall be heard. God save the Queen. Be seated, please.
Call the case on, please, Mr Associate.
In the matter of the Director of Public Prosecutions against Evelyn Cannon.
Members of the jury panel, I'll keep my voice up. What I'm about to do is to read the names of those amongst you who have been selected as jurors in this case. If there is anyone who is not here, we've got a couple in reserve. So as your names are called, I'd ask you to get to your feet, walk across the face of the court and go up and take a seat in the jury box. If you're coming from the bleachers, we'll give you a bit of time to get there. Ilya Reutberg. Right. Jerry Corfiatis. Nick Romeo. Andrew Scalacci. Madison Sullivan Thorpe. Cheryl He. Cassandra Buttigieg. Ruba Khan. Candice Peterson. Amy Wallace. Deniz Varel. And Aisha Bath. We've got the full 12, so Ashley Bauer and Meg Settle, you got very close. Now, Mr Crouch, are you appear to prosecute?
Yes, I please the court. I appear to learn from Ms Argyropoulos for the Director.
Does your instructing solicitor wish to make a brief introduction?
Yes, he does, right? There you go.
May it please the court, my name is Nick Chiock. I'm solicitor for the prosecution. I'm just going to give you a brief indication of the role of the solicitors for the prosecution. A case such as this will commence with the police arresting and charging the defendant. The police prepare statements and they prepare a brief of evidence. When you have an indictable offence, such as this one, the matter goes to the DPP, the Director of Public Prosecutions, for prosecution, and the DPP has many staff members to assist, and the DPP can confer with the prosecution witnesses, as with the senior constable, and the DPP then importantly discloses the case to the defence, and then the defence know what the charges are, and then they in turn prepare a defence. Then the case is briefed to either a DPP or external counsel, depending on the particular case. Before the time of coming into this court, you have a committal hearing in the magistrate's court, and that's to determine whether there's enough evidence for the case to go forward, and clearly that was the case in the present case. And then you arrive at the trial stage, where the prosecution must prove all the key elements of the offence beyond a reasonable doubt. And finally, I just mentioned, we have a not guilty plea, but at any stage in the stages that I just mentioned before, the defendant may put forward a plea of guilty, or there could be a defence of mental impairment.
Thank you. Ms Dixon, you appear as senior counsel for the defendant.
Yes, I appear with Mr Hanbury, Your Honour, and I'd ask that my instructing solicitor have leave to make a short statement.
Very short.
I'm Christina. I'm the instructing solicitor for the defence. The role of the defence team in a case such as this one, where the accused is pleading not guilty, is simply to demonstrate to the jury that the prosecution has not proved its case beyond reasonable doubt. The defence team will do this by examining, or in other words, testing the evidence and presenting their arguments to the jury at the end, once all of the evidence has been presented. The legal counsel on the defence team, they're also known as barristers. They're instructed by me as the instructing solicitor to act on behalf of the client, who is Evelyn Cannon in this case. The barristers advocate the defence before the judge and the jury. They're distinguished in the courtroom by what they wear. As you can see, they're wearing wigs and jabos and gowns. And barristers usually have particular knowledge of case law and skill in building a case to be presented in the form of a trial. However, they generally have little contact with the client directly before and even sometimes during the trial. My role as the instructing solicitor is to prepare the case beforehand for the barristers by directly talking to the client and advising her, preparing the evidence and managing the day-to-day administration of the case. And in the courtroom, I'm here to provide support to the barristers by being able to assist them by locating relevant documents, making sure the evidence is in order for them, taking notes of what's going on and what's being said, and dealing with any unexpected problems that pop up, which might require me running out of the court to chase up something for them in the office or something like that.
Thank you. Mr Croucher, do you wish to open the case for the prosecution?
Yes, very briefly, Your Honour.
Well, keep your voice up, there's a good chap.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the accused is charged with the offence of conspiring to traffic in cocaine, conspiring with other people. That's her there. What the Crown will seek to prove, and prove it beyond reasonable doubt, is that She was involved in this dirty business of drug trafficking. She was seen by the policeman, Mr O'Rourke, who will give evidence on this particular occasion, putting something in a phone box. Then a man comes along after that and takes that something from the phone box. Turns out it's a key. That key fits a locker at the train station. Guess what's in the locker at the train station? Drugs, cocaine. A person who's at the train station and dealt with the person who deposited whatever it was that was found, namely the drugs, in the locker, was shown a photograph by a policeman at some stage, a photograph of that lady. And he said, looks like her, looks like her. So that's what the prosecution case is about. You'll hear from the policeman and his observations. You'll hear from the man from the train station who saw this lady. You'll also hear some other evidence in the case. But in a nutshell, that's what it's about.
Thanks, Mr Croucher. Ms Dixon, do you wish to open the case for the accused?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Your Honour. Members of the jury, you've heard my client being referred to as the accused woman in this case, or the accused, and you'll see that she's separated from everyone else here, and you may well be thinking, well, she must be in a whole lot of trouble here. She's been brought into court on these serious charges of drugs. Just bear in mind that she is first and foremost a person. She's one of your fellow citizens, and she's entitled to the presumption of innocence. So whilst Mr Croucher here is seeking to prosecute her and have her convicted of these serious criminal offences, all through this trial you must bear in mind that she is presumed innocent and that they bear the burden of proving the case beyond reasonable doubt. So bear that in mind, and bear in mind that she has at all times protested her innocence. She has said she doesn't know this person, Mr Schenko, that the prosecution speak about, although they haven't produced him, they seem to have lost him. And she's just a young waitress in a bar who occasionally served this fellow as a customer, and she has been wrongly accused of these heinous crimes. So what I suggest to you is that when you really look at this evidence and when you scrutinise it carefully, you realise that Evelyn Cannon never went into any phone box, she never had anything to do with any drugs, she never went to any railway station lockers, and the prosecution case is as thin as this piece of paper here.
I thought you were going to say as thin as Mr Croucher there.
Thank you, Robert.
Mr Croucher, do you wish to call your first witness?
I do. Call Paul O'Rourke. Yeah, thanks.
Silence. What is your full name?
Paul O'Rourke.
Please repeat after me. I swear by Almighty God
I swear by Almighty God
that the evidence I shall give
that the evidence that I shall give
will be the truth,
will be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth. Did I need to do this? Or?
You actually probably did, but I just want to add.
Yeah.
Then you'd really be on oath, Mr O'Rourke. And there could be trouble.
Yes. Yes.
Do you follow?
Yes, I do.
Thank you so much.
All right, Mr O'Rourke, where do you work?
Australian Federal Police. I'm the senior constable, so I'm stationed with the drug squad in Melbourne.
Okay. Now, can you tell us about what you were doing on the 3rd of October?
Yes, I certainly can. We received some information from an informer named Deep Throat, and okay, they told us about.
What's the basis of that objection, Ms Dixon?
Well, Your Honour, there's no relevance to the information that he may have received. He simply needs to tell the court about what is observed in this case.
Mr Croucher?
I thought it was deep thought, not deep throat, John, but...
Get on with it, Mr Croucher.
I'm simply trying to prejudice the jury against my client, Your Honour.
So, what happened next?
Where should I start?
Yeah, well, you told us you had some information and you were in Carlton.
Yes. So I was on Canning Street in Carlton. I parked my vehicle. At about 11 p.m. I pulled up, parked my vehicle opposite Luigi's Bar. I alighted from the vehicle, walked north, and took a position right opposite the telephone box, which is on the other side of the telephone box.
Right, can I just stop you there?
Yes.
At some point, did you end up drawing a diagram of this area?
Yes, I did.
I wonder if the witness could be shown the blown-up version of the diagram. Is that the diagram?
Yes, but I drew a smaller diagram. But
Understand
yeah,
that?
Yes,
All
this
right.
is it. It certainly is, yeah.
All right, so tell us what happened by reference to the diagram.
Well, I parked here, somewhere around here.
Yep.
Well, it might be helpful if the jury could also see the diagram. I'm just trying to assist my learned friend a little bit.
Yeah, you heard that, Mr. Croucher.
Yeah, I did, yeah. Thanks. Can you see? Yep.
Can you, yeah? So I was parked around here, alighted from the vehicle, walked north, and took a position right here, right opposite the glass phone box.
All right. Now, on that bottom left-hand corner, the box in the bottom left-hand corner, is that Luigi's Bar?
Yes,
All
that's Luigi's Bar.
All right.
That's a vacant shop, and this is a 24-hour shop.
All right. What time of the day were you there?
11 p.m.
All right. And what did you observe?
Well, I was there for a couple of hours.
All right.
At about 1 a.m.,
Yep.
I saw a person that I now know as Evelyn Cannon, Evie, as she calls herself. She walked out of Luigi's Bar and then walked north towards the phone box. She looked around. She didn't see many people. Then she went into...
Looked around in what sort of way? What do you mean?
Very suspicious.
Oh,
She
yeah,
looked
okay.
around like she was looking for someone or she was trying to suss something out. Very suspicious,
Okay.
in my professional experience.
Then what suspicious thing did she do next?
Well, she went into the glass phone box and she pulled out a silver box, a small box, and she put it under the phone booth, just here.
Mm-hmm. Now, how would you describe this woman?
Well, she was about 170 to 179 centimeters tall, roughly. Medium built,
That's the difference between a back pocket and a half-full flanker, isn't it? Right?
blonde hair,
Yep.
and she had red glasses, big red glasses.
Yep.
She had a large tapestry bag,
Mm-hmm.
and she was wearing black stockings,
Yep.
black overcoat, and ankle boots.
What sort of hair did she have?
Spiky,
Yep.
long spiked hair.
right.
That's what I noticed.
Okay. So,
At
you
the
see on the
moment,
phone
Mr.
book... she's-
Croucher, the witness has just described Justice King.
We've got the wrong one. All right. You've told us what she looked like now and what Justice King looked like, but can you also tell us what happened next after you saw this woman place the box underneath the phone box?
Yes, I certainly can. So I saw Evie. She put the box and then she crossed diagonally and she walked south. And I lost sight of her. Then about 5 to 10 minutes later, I saw a black Jaguar, beautiful car, pulled up somewhere around here, pulled up, he crossed the road. So I know this person as Taras Shenko.
And how do you know him?
Well, professional experience. He's a very big drug mule.
Okay.
Very big.
How big?
Very big.
And what did the big drug fellow do? What did Mr.
So
Shenko?
he parked his vehicle, his Jaguar,
Yep.
and then he walked along. So he crossed the road, and he went into the glass phone box, and he pulled out the silver metal box,
Yep.
the one that Evie put. And after he did, I crossed the road and I arrested him. And when I arrested him, I pulled out the box from his black, big, massive overcoat.
Yep.
And I retrieved a key to a locker.
Mm-hmm.
And the locker was a locker in Southern Cross, locker number 13.
Now, did you speak to Mr. Shenko?
Yes, I certainly did. So I told him, we've got you this time, Taris. And,
What did he say?
well, he replied and he said, you've got me, but you'll never prove it. You missed Evie.
Objection.
Yes,
When an offender is seeking to leave this conversation, I strongly object. And I ask that the jury leave the courtroom.
Well, you don't want This is a belated but entirely justifiable objection, Mr. Croucher, and I regard it as professionally negligent of you for leading that conversation.
Thank you.
I will expunge it from the record.
As Your Honour pleases. What happened after you spoke to Mr. Shenko?
And if you're not careful, I'll expunge you from the record.
I'm terribly sorry. Don't know what came over me. So, Sergeant, or is it Senior Constable?
Senior Constable.
Senior Constable O'Rourke, what happened after you spoke to Mr. Shenko?
Well, as I was saying, I recovered the key. I went to the locker. This is the same locker, Southern Cross, locker number 13. And I opened the locker and I discovered massive amounts of drugs.
All right.
At
Have a look
least-
at that bag there beside you.
Yes.
Plastic bag. Wonder if the associate could hand that to you. What's that?
Drugs.
Yep.
Cocaine. For sure. This is what I
Where
recovered.
they come from?
The locker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So they were analysed by experts later on?
It was
Turned out to be
analysed,
cocaine.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't do any analysis myself, but yes.
All right.
The labs did.
And how much are they worth?
About 90,000,
Yeah.
200,000,
Big business.
150.
All right.
Are you going to tender those, Mr.
Yeah, could I tender
Croucher?
that, Your Honour, please?
Yeah, Exhibit 1, drugs.
Yep. Okay. All right. What's next in the investigation? What did you
Well, next evening, I went back to the same area, Canning Street, drew a sketch. That's the sketch you've seen
Yep.
earlier. So that's what I drew, smaller one, as I was saying earlier.
Yep.
And then,
Where'd you get that jacket, by the way?
this is professional. This is what I wear all the time.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. So, I was saying?
Yeah, you were saying.
Yes, I was saying.
Yeah.
So,
You can run the show, mate. It's up to you.
what was I saying?
I'm not sure. I think you were the next thing in the investigation. I think you might have. Yeah,
Something about your jacket.
So I was wearing the jacket at the time as well.
Yeah.
And then, yes, I went into Luigi's bar and I saw Evelyn.
When did you do this?
This is the same evening. So again, next evening, which would have been fourth evening.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So you go to Luigi's.
Yep, went to Luigi's and I saw Evelyn Cannon.
So you say you saw Evelyn Cannon. That's the person you say you saw going into the phone box earlier.
Yes, that's the same person I saw.
Right.
But a different hairstyle, but same person.
How was the hair different?
It was blonde, but it wasn't spiked anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, she probably changed it.
Yeah. Reckon. All right. So, what else did you see or hear
I
while
was
you were there?
well. I was standing there for a bit, for about 5 or 10 minutes, and I heard her say something to Luigi, who's the owner of the bar, and she said, "Did you know Taris was busted last night just outside here?" So that's what she said, and it was quite noisy, so I couldn't hear anything else. And then I left.
Mm-hmm. All right. What happened next?
After that, I obtained a photograph of Evelyn Cannon,
Right.
and I interviewed Peter Porter, who identified the photo, so the person in the photo as Evelyn Cannon.
Well, who's Peter Porter?
Peter Porter, I believe, is the person who manages the locker at Southern Cross. So he was managing the locker at the time. So he identified Evelyn Cannon as the person in the photograph.
All right. All right. What did you do next?
A couple of days, I'm guessing it would have been a couple of days later, would have been the 5th of October, around 3 p.m. I went to Evelyn Cannon's house and I arrested her. So I took her to the police station and she gave us a statement.
All right. Well, when you arrested her at a house, did you say anything to her?
You're under arrest.
Yep.
Yes.
I wonder if the witness might look at his notes, Your Honour.
You can refer to your notes if you like.
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honour.
No objection.
Thank you, Your Honour. So I said to her, it is alleged that 2 days ago you were involved with Taraschenko in a cocaine deal with the intent to supply the drugs to small dealers. So that's what I said to her.
What did she say in response?
She said, you've got the wrong woman.
So you took her back to the police station, and what did you do back there?
Well, conducted a formal record of interview, which was tape recorded.
All right.
And
do you tend to, that interview's been transcribed?
Yes, it has.
And you've checked that it's all true and correct?
Yes, I have.
And I attended that interview.
That'll be Exhibit 2, record of interview with the accused.
And also that photo that he mentioned before, Your Honour, that's sitting on the bench there. There's a photo there, just a piece of paper.
Yeah, that can be part of the same exhibit.
Yes, thank you, Your Honour.
Just the one photograph?
Yes. All right. Any other things that occurred during this investigation?
Yes, about a week ago, so it would have been last Tuesday, Wednesday last week. So we had a search warrant. So we went to Evie's house again. She wasn't home. And we had some information that the tapestry bag was at her house. So when we did the investigation, when we went in, conducted the investigation, this is what we found. This is the bag. And this is the same bag that I saw on the night.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
It
I
is.
thought you were going to say it was a bag, but anyway.
No, it's the same bag.
Okay.
Same brand.
No worries.
I know this brand because my wife, she's got the same bag.
Is there anything else you'd like to say about your wife and her bag?
No,
No.
nothing else.
Okay. Did you also at some point receive a statement from, apart from the interview that you had with her, a written statement from her solicitor?
Yes,
Miss Cannon's solicitor, I mean.
Yes, I did. That would have been on the 7th of October. So a local solicitor, he came to the police station and he gave me Evie's statement. So I've got that here as well.
Oh, I'll attend to that as well, Bill.
Yep, that can be Exhibit 3, statement of Evie Cannon. When's it dated, Mr Croucher?
Doesn't have a date on it, Your Honour. Sorry.
Undated statement of Evie Cannon.
Anything else? Just thank you, Your Honour.
Thank you. Ms Dixon?
Thank you, Your Honour. Constable O'Rourke, you'd never met my client, Miss Cannon, before the date of this surveillance, had you?
No.
And you know that she's a young woman with no prior convictions?
Yes, that's
who was
correct.
gainfully employed at that cafe, that bar?
Yes.
And you knew that she'd worked, or you now know she'd worked there for some years in that occupation?
Yes.
And when you interviewed her about these foul allegations, she told you, didn't she, that you had the wrong woman?
She did.
And she told you that she left work and she went straight into a cab to go home after work on that night.
She did.
And you're a detective. Your job's to detect things, isn't it?
It is.
So let's have a look at some of the things you didn't detect. You didn't check with the cab company, did you?
No, I didn't.
You didn't check her phone records, did you?
No, I
So
didn't.
they called the cab company. Did you detect any of my client's fingerprints on any of these things that you produced?
No.
Any DNA?
No.
No. We know that people perspire all the time and pass DNA onto things, don't we?
We do.
And so was there any DNA on the little silver box?
There was, but we didn't analyse it.
Was there any DNA that was analysed in the phone box?
No.
Or any fingerprints? No? No DNA or fingerprints on the little parcel that you got out of the locker?
No.
None on the locker?
None.
The very bag of white powder that you produce here today, no DNA, no fingerprints linking to my client.
No.
Is that right? And you've come up with this tapestry bag. That wasn't something you mentioned in your statement, was it?
It was. I did mention it.
Not that you'd found it at her house. You neglected to mention anything about finding it.
Might have slipped my mind. I apologise.
Certainly didn't mention that in your notes, did you?
No.
No? Not there, is it?
Not there.
No.
The glasses were there, though.
In fact, your notes are pretty skimpy, aren't they, for the 3rd of October?
Yeah.
The 4th of October?
All I can say is I was very busy that day. We busted these drugs and a big drug lord.
Did you go to detective training school, sir?
No,
Didn't go there?
No.
Federal police can't afford to send you people there.
not anymore.
No. And you were one out this day, were you? Just on your own, no offsider helping you?
That's correct.
That's a bit unusual for a big drug investigation, isn't it?
Yes, but it was late night. A very late night.
You did take a few notes, though, didn't you? You had your pen and paper with you while you were on surveillance duty.
That's correct.
And you took a couple of notes on the 4th of October at 1 a.m. Let me just refresh your memory about those notes. 4th of October, 1 a.m. Woman approaches phone box, enters, places container under phone stand, exits, crosses the road, walks away. About 179 centimetres medium build, wearing black coat. That was all you said, wasn't it?
That's correct.
Not much, is it?
Still a lot.
Is that the best you could do?
No, I could do better, but still. Considering the time, it's pretty good.
Do you think you should go to detective training school?
Maybe worth it, Your Honour.
When you went to my client's house and arrested her, she was on her way to church, wasn't she?
Not sure. That's what they all say.
And, and she pointed out to you the photo on the hall table of her taken in Bali back in January, didn't she? And she said...
I don't recall.
And you took that photo, didn't you? You took that photograph that she showed you on the hall
Again,
table.
don't recall.
And it's this very exhibit here, isn't it, that Mr Associate will hold up for us. Photograph. What's the date? The Polaroid date stamp on the front of that photograph? January. January, not October, January.
Oh, yes, it is. I do remember now.
Yeah. And didn't she tell you that that was from way back before she changed her hair and changed her appearance?
She might have mentioned it.
January last year, she said.
Yeah.
So, this is... And you went to see Mr Porter, did you?
I did.
Down at the railway station. Did they tell you anything, leaving aside detective training school, anything about the way to approach a witness who might be relevant to identifying a person?
No, he didn't.
No, they didn't. They certainly didn't tell you it was a good idea to produce a single photograph of a single suspect to a witness, did they?
No.
And you know that that's a very bad idea, don't you?
Not really.
And you asked Mr Porter to try and recognise that photo, didn't you?
I did.
Try and recognise that image. And he was very keen to please you, wasn't he?
Not sure.
He offered you donuts, didn't he?
Did you? He never gave it to you. He gave it to me, though. He might have offered it.
Just lastly, Senior Constable, you have lots of tools at your disposal, don't you? You have binoculars and you have little cameras that can take photos from across the street, and you have mini cassette recorders and things.
Yes, we do.
You didn't employ any of those tools on this night, did you?
Didn't need to.
Didn't need to?
It was clear cut. Open, close. Open, shut case.
And in fact, when you took that photo from across the street into the phone box, the view from that vantage point looks a bit like this, doesn't it? Ask the witness to look at this photograph, Your Honour. Taken from that very location across the street. You can't see much, can you, into a phone box from way across the street in Canberra?
It's quite clear, though.
I suggest to you that you never saw my client enter any phone box.
I did see her.
And that you certainly never saw her carrying that bag that you've spoken about here today for the first time.
No, I saw her.
And you certainly never saw her put anything inside a phone box.
Again, I saw her doing the exact same thing you were saying.
And in fact, you have come to this court on this most thin and sketchy of evidence.
No.
No further questions.
Thanks very much, Ms Dixon. There's no re-examination, Mr Croucher. Do you wish to call your second witness?
Yes, I wonder if Ms Ardropoulos might deal with the next
Certainly.
witness.
Thank you, Ms Ardropoulos.
Thank you, and I call Peter Porter.
Silence. What is your full name?
My name is Peter Porter.
Repeat after me. I solemnly and sincerely.
I solemnly and sincerely swear. Oh, you didn't say swear yet. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of you. Go on.
Declare and affirm.
Oh, declare and affirm.
Yeah.
Both of those things.
That the evidence I shall give
That the evidence that I shall give
will be the truth.
will be the truth,
The whole truth.
the whole truth,
And nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth in it.
Now, your full name is Peter Porter?
Yeah, Peter Porter, that's right.
There's no T in Porter.
And you're in charge of the lockers at the Southern Cross Station?
I am, yeah. I look after all the lockers down there, and they, you know, that big building down the end with the wavy roof. That's it.
Okay. Now, Mr Porter, as of October last year, what's the process if a person wants to rent a locker at Southern Cross Station?
Well, they come and they see me, and they say, "Hey, Peter, can I have a locker?" And I say, "Well, that'd be $1, thanks." It's a princely sum. And I then keep a record of all the lockers that are used, and I take the names of the people that rent them.
Okay. Now, did you rent a locker to a person on the 3rd of October?
I did indeed, yeah. On the 3rd of October, it was in the morning, sometime around 9 a.m, I think. And it was the last available locker, as I recall. It was the only one left, that's why I remember it.
And what was the locker number?
I was locker number 13.
13 or 13?
Big yours, Your Honour. It's 13, you're right.
And did you take any records of the person you rented locker 13 to?
I did indeed. I wrote her name down, and she gave her name as Carmel, and then she signed a book and she wrote C. O'Kane. Not Michael Caine, C. O'Kane. And she gave her address as Canning Street in Carlton.
And did she sign the book as well?
Yes, she did. She signed C. O'Kane.
Now, do you remember what this woman looked like?
I do. She was quite tall, and she was blonde, and she had some spiky hair going on.
Is there anything else you remember about her appearance?
Oh, she had these big, large hooped earrings on, and she was wearing them, and you could see them quite well because her hair was a bit short, so, you know, they sort of dangled down like this.
And did you have a conversation with this woman with the short hair and big hoop earrings?
I did, and look, she was very friendly and chatty, and I thought maybe she was having a crack for a little bit, but turns out she wasn't. I was a bit shattered about that, to be honest.
What made you think she was having a bit of a crack?
Oh, you know, she was, well, very well dressed, and I don't want to say any more, I might embarrass myself.
She was a bit friendlier than most women are, was she?
Oh, well, most women are pretty friendly, to be honest, you know, they go for the accent, I find.
All right. Now, what did she ask you in relation to the locker? Let's just limit the conversation to the locker. How about that?
Right, and that's not euphemism, is it, the locker?
No.
No, good, just had to clarify that, sorry. Yeah, she asked me if there was more than one key to the locker. And again, not euphemism, that either. And I had to assure her that there was not, and there was only one key, and she had the only key. And she said that she had a friend who was Russian who might come and pick up the parcel a bit later. And yeah, so I told her that she didn't need to worry. I wasn't going to look in the locker, and I didn't have access to it, and she was the only one who had the access once she had the key. Did
you think it was a bit dodgy that she was asking all these questions?
Oh, not particularly. No, people ask questions of me all the time. They just like hearing me speak, I think.
All right. Now, I assume you gave her the key?
I did. I gave her the key.
And what happened after that?
I gave her my telephone number, but she never rang. Happens a lot.
All right. And what did she do in relation to the locker?
Oh, well, I saw her go over to the locker and she put this brown paper parcel in there. And I don't know what was in the parcel, but it was just a parcel. And yeah, she closed the locker and that was it.
Okay. Now, were you visited by the previous witness, Senior Constable O'Rourke, a couple of days later?
I was indeed, yeah. This geezer over here, where is he? In his vest. Oh, he's taking his vest off. But this one. Oh, there he is, yeah. He came and he saw me on the 5th It was a couple of days later.
Was he wearing that vest when he came to see
I think he was, yeah. I don't think he's washed it since either. He's a bit...
And did he ask you about what you'd seen in terms of your dealings with this woman on the 3rd of October?
Yeah, and I told him what happened. I basically told him what I've just told you. I left out the stuff about her trying to help me, though. I was embarrassed at the time. I found a bit rejected because she hadn't called.
All right. And did he show you a photograph of a woman?
He did.
I wonder if the witness could be showing the photograph that's been tendered as Exhibit 2, I think. Now, is that the photo, Mr Porter, that you were showing on that day?
Yeah, that's it. He showed me this photo, he did. And he said, is this the woman who rented Locker 13?
And what did you say?
I said that, the woman in that photograph has the same large hooped earrings, or very similar hooped earrings to the woman that hired Locker. And she's got the similar sort of short, spiked blonde hair as well. And I said, well, yeah, that looks like that girl called Carmel O'Kane.
Thank you, Mr Porter.
Leonard Jr. will take this witness, Your Honour.
Mr Hannabury.
Thank you, Mr Porter.
Hello.
Back in October 2011, you were working at Southern Cross Station.
Yes, I was.
And Southern Cross Station's the station where all the country trains come to and from all day.
That's true, it is. All the V lines go through there.
Yeah, and apart from that, there's suburban trains going through multiple platforms every day.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of trains that go through there, and the Mikey barriers aren't working very well at the moment, so yeah, it's a bit of a problem.
It'd be fair to say Southern Cross Station sees an enormous array of people walking through it day in, day out.
I think that's fair to say, yeah.
A lot of them walk past precisely where you are day in and day out.
Oh, a lot of them do, but not all of them, obviously.
The busiest time at the station, you'd agree, would be the morning and the afternoon peak. Is that right?
Definitely, yeah, it's flat out.
Now, the morning peak, you'd agree, would go till a bit after 9 a.m, is that right?
Oh, at least, yeah. Often the trains run late and it goes later than that.
Yep. Now, on this particular day, the 3rd of October last year, do you agree that it had been so busy that you were down to your last available locker by just after 9 o'clock on the 3rd of October?
Well, I was definitely down to my last locker, yeah.
And your records that you took show that you rented locker 013 to someone putting their name down as Carmel O'Kane.
That's correct, yeah, Carmel O'Kane.
You'd never previously seen this person?
Not that I can recall, no.
Now, after she left, you worked the rest of your shift on the 3rd of October?
That's right, I did, yep.
You dealt with more people and saw more people that day?
Yeah, but no one else hired a locker because that was the last one.
You worked again on the 4th of October?
I did.
You had more people coming through hiring lockers?
I did indeed.
You worked again on the 5th of October?
That's right.
Same thing?
Same thing.
Hiring lockers?
Every day, it's very monotonous.
People coming in? On the 5th of October, though, some 48 hours and many, many customers since Ms O'Kane, Senior Constable O'Rourke arrived, didn't he?
He did.
And he asked you about the person who rented locker 013.
He did indeed.
And you were doing your best to be helpful to the police officer?
Oh, well, I don't like the fuzz very much, but I helped him out.
You seem like a person that likes to be liked?
Oh, I suppose you could say that.
And when the police officers come along, you've done your best to help him out?
Well, yeah, I suppose.
You're being truthful with the police officer, of course.
Of course I was, yeah. I got no reason to lie to the fuzz.
Yep.
Unless they're asking me questions about me.
You told the police officer that the woman you rented this locker to was a tall, blonde woman with spiked hair and large earrings. Is that right?
That's right, yeah.
And at that point in time, he's shown you a single photograph. Is that correct?
He did.
Now, you couldn't tell how tall this woman was from that photograph?
Well, no, it was really just from the boobs up, so I couldn't tell. You're right.
Mr Porter, I have draconian powers of contempt.
Noted, Your Honour.
And should you display any further discourtesy to this court, you will be removed to a place of execution.
I might not like that, Your Honour. Thank you for the warning.
Now, Mr Porter, the woman in that photo had large earrings and spiked blonde hair.
That's right, yeah.
Now, the police officer asked you a question about that photo, didn't he?
He did.
And the question he asked was, does the woman in the photo look like Carmel O'Kane?
No, he asked me if that woman looked like the woman who rented locker number 013, by my recollection. But I said it did, or she did.
Yeah. And you said to him, yes, it does look like Carmel O'Kane.
Yes, I did, yes.
Was a single question put to you?
From memory, yes.
A single, very specific question that you gave a very specific answer to.
That's right.
Thank you. Nothing further on.
I've no re-examination, Your Honour.
Thanks, Mrs Angeropoulos.
That's the case for the Crown.
That's the case for the Crown, is it?
Yes.
Ms Dixon, what course is
Call
the
my
accused
client, Your
taking?
Honour. The accused is going to give evidence on her own behalf, Your Honour.
Yes.
Call Ms Cannon.
Silence. What is your full name?
Evelyn Cannon.
Please repeat after me. I solemnly and sincerely
I solemnly and sincerely
declare and affirm
declare and affirm
that the evidence I shall give
that the evidence I shall give
will be the truth,
will be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
Miss Cannon, please keep your voice up and look towards the jury. Now, is your name Evelyn Cannon?
Yes.
And do you reside at 13 Black Street, Kew?
Yes, I do.
And are you a waitress by occupation?
I am. Waitress and bartender.
And are you only 22 years old?
I'm 23 now.
Now, Miss Cannon, have you ever been in trouble with the police before?
No, never. This is the first time anything like this has ever happened to me.
How did you feel when that policeman brought you in for questioning?
I was shocked. I was outraged. I didn't even know what it was about. It was confusing. I mean, can you even imagine it?
We've heard a tape played in this court of your interview with the police. Was that what you said on that tape truthful?
Yes.
And so were you in fact working in the bar on that night, the 3rd of October, going into the 4th of October?
Yes, I work most nights, so I was definitely working that night.
Now, do you know a person named Taras Shinko?
I know him, but I don't know him. I mean, the guy bought me a drink a few times. We talked when he would come into the bar. But, I mean, that was about it. You've got to be nice to the customers.
Did you like him?
No, I had nothing to do with him. I mean, look at me. Guys buy me drinks.
Did you see him in the bar that night?
That night, no.
When police asked you in your interview about him, you initially said you'd never heard of him, this Mr. Shinko. Why did you say that?
I guess, I mean, guys buy me drinks and I don't want people thinking that I'm with them or that I'm interested or something. And, I mean, Shenko's not some guy that I want people thinking, oh, yeah, she's hanging out with that guy. I mean, he's a bit dodgy and, yeah, he comes in and I talk to him, but I don't know, I got confused and I didn't want them thinking I was associated with him in any other kind of way.
All right. Now, you know that the Crown case is that O'Rourke saw you leave the bar. He says he saw you leave the bar at 1 a.m. on the 4th of October and enter a phone box just north of that bar and leave a little silver magnetic box in the phone box with a key in it.
I mean, as I've always said, I definitely left the bar that night. 1 o'clock's about when I finish up. I would have left. But I walked straight past the phone booth and into the taxi that I'd called. I've never stopped in that phone booth before in my life.
So, did you phone for that taxi?
Yes, I called it before I left the bar.
And what sort of a taxi was it?
It was like the regular style, the yellow cabs or whatever they are.
And what sort of a driver was it in the taxi?
He was like an Indian dude, you know. And I think we even tried to get him to come here today, but they shipped him back to India or something.
Now, when you left the bar, was there many people around?
Yeah, I mean, there's always people around. It's a popular area, and this bar up the road shut, so there's these people walking down, even trying to get into Luigi's, but we'd closed already, so they were walking on.
That phone box. Have you ever been inside that phone box?
No, I've got no need to. Who even uses a phone box these days? I mean, I've had my iPhone 3 since it came out, and, I mean, there's no point. I don't even have a home phone.
And I'd like you to look at the exhibit... oh, you don't have the box.
Why would you go into a phone box if you had a mobile phone unless it was to deposit something?
Oh, excellent question, Your Honour. But I suppose I'd have to be depositing something, which I wasn't.
Yes, thank you.
Now, Ms Cannon, I'd like to be able to show you the silver box that the prosecution so depend on as the receptacle for the drugs, but unfortunately it doesn't appear that the prosecution have been able to produce the silver box. It doesn't seem to be an exhibit in this case. But have you ever had anything to do with a silver box containing a key?
The only time I ever saw it was when the coppers showed it to me.
And was that during your interview, was it?
Yes.
And what did you wear home from work that night?
I mean, I can't really remember, but I definitely would have been wearing my black overcoat because I always wear that thing. It's beautiful.
Did you have any bag with you that night?
I may have had my usual leather bag.
And how big's that?
Oh, it's not. I mean, it's little handbaggy size.
Now, it's been suggested that this bag, perhaps if I could call, yes, his Honour's associate will hold it up. It's been suggested that that bag is a tapestry bag that was found at your house sometime after the events in question. What do you say to that?
Well, to be honest, I completely forgot I even had that thing. I think it was my grandmother's, and I think I stored something in it that I've never seen before. And I certainly wouldn't be carrying it around. I don't even know what tapestry means.
Did you know what conspiracy meant when the police asked you about that?
No, but they told me. It means something. I forget.
Yes, very well. And were you wearing any earrings on that night?
I don't really wear earrings anymore. I mean, Luigi got funny about how I looked. He thought I looked classier when I'm a little less done up.
And could you have a look, please, at this photo of you in Bali? Yes, there it is. The photo that has the January date stamp in it. Now, is that a photo that you recognise?
Sure. I had a blast in Bali.
So you've seen that photo before?
Yes. And the beach in the background, I was up until 4 a.m. in the morning. Party.
Just in terms of that photograph, you don't look like that now, the way you did in the photograph.
No. I mean, to be honest, I had a life-affirming experience in Indonesia when I was in Bali. It was amazing. You should see some of the poverty that those people live in. I mean, it made me find God. And afterwards, I thought, I'm going to stop being so much of a skank. And so I got rid of some of the hoopy earrings, I got the hair, and I now look much classier, and Luigi likes it much more when I work at his bar.
And just, you've heard the evidence about the railway station lockers at Southern Cross Station. Have you ever been to the locker room area at Southern Cross Station?
I've had no need to.
What do you say about the Crown case that you conspired with Mr Shinko to deal in cocaine?
I've said all along, it's absurd. I'm completely innocent.
Thank you. Your witness.
Thank you, Your Honour. Yes, Mr Croucher. Keep it quick.
Yes. When you spoke to the police, question 9, do you have your interview in front of you?
Sure.
While that's occurring, witness, could you show me the exhibit, the photograph from Bali? Good God. It was hot at the time, wasn't it?
It was a crazy night.
Now, is this right? When you were interviewed by the policeman, did he say to you at question 9, I saw you leave Luigi's and enter the nearest phone box where you deposited a key to a locker which contained cocaine, and you responded, you didn't see me, didn't you? Is that right?
I did, and then I said, you've got the wrong woman.
Yeah? But with about that time gap between them?
Well, yeah, I was responding.
Yeah. But then, and then the very next question was, he asked, do you know Tarashenko? And you said, never heard of him. Is that right?
Is
that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd ask that this be given time to answer the question.
It's a question that can be answered yes or no.
Thank you, right? So you told a lie, didn't you?
I qualified it.
Did you lie or not?
Not deliberately.
You told an untruth, did you? Is that what it would be?
Yes, briefly.
And you said that because you knew that if you admitted that you knew him, you'd be in terrible trouble, wouldn't you?
I knew he was dodgy, and if the cops had pulled me up, that he must have done something dodgy, and if they thought I was involved in the dodginess, then the whole thing would just get out of hand.
And that's why you changed your hair as well, wasn't it?
No, I've been changing my hair for a long time.
So you did change your hair on that night, did you?
No.
No?
It takes a while to grow these luscious locks.
You'd be wearing a wig, wouldn't you, right now?
Hardly.
And the police asked you this, the next question. I heard you tell Luigi, your boss, that you knew that Taris was arrested outside the phone box. And your answer was, OK, I might have been set up. What's that about?
I was flustered.
So you concede that it looks like you're trying to cover up something. Is that what...
I was confused.
Well, can you answer the question, please? Do you concede that it looks like you're trying to cover up something in that answer?
I object to the question, Your Honour.
We're inviting an opinion from the witness about the state of the Crown evidence in her case. It's quite unfair.
All right. Jury understood, Your Honour.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Crown?
You accept, Your Honour, you accept, don't you, that you walked past the phone box?
Yes.
Yeah. At about 1 o'clock?
Yes.
Wearing a black jacket?
Yes.
Yeah. And you say, by some stroke of incredible coincidence, there was a woman of a similar height wearing a black jacket at the same time.
Yes, I noticed her myself because she looks so much like me.
I see. What about the last question you were asked was, tell me why you happened to be at the phone box just before Schenko turned up. What was your answer? Read your answer to the jury.
Sorry, what question was that
Question 19, the last question.
Well, I said I wasn't answering any more questions.
Why'd you do that?
Well, Your Honour, I object again.
Yes.
What possible relevance can that have to this case?
The witness
This has a right not to answer questions.
has a right not to answer questions, as you know, Mr. Croucher.
She does.
Do you say that any inference is available from her failure to answer that question?
In this case, yes.
Well, I'm against you. Overruled. Rejected, Mr. Croucher.
Your Honour, I seek a discharge of the jury. This jury is prejudiced by these questions.
What's the time?
Failing that, I seek a precise invitation.
Rejected. Get on with it. Come on.
The fact of the matter is this, isn't it?
I thought you'd finished your cross-examination.
Actually, I have.
Do you have any further witnesses, Ms Dixon?
Sure, witness.
Yes.
Not used to
May the
calling
witness be excused, Your Honour.
Certainly and gladly.
We have one further witness, Your Honour. My learned junior will be calling.
Thank you.
Could I call Luigi Fiorelli?
Call him what?
Hey, don't you?
Silence.
I haven't seen you at the bar. Oh, sorry. Luigi Fiorelli.
Please repeat after me. I solemnly and sincerely
I solemnly and sincerely
declare and affirm
declare and affirm
that the evidence I shall give
that the evidence I shall give
will be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
truth,
and nothing but the truth.
I thought you said he'd be wearing a suit.
Thank you, Mr.
Corfiades, how you doing? Say hello to your dad for me, Flynn. Yeah.
Thank you. Ms. Fiorelli, could you face the jury and state for us your full name?
Luigi Fiorelli, or Mad Lou.
And your address?
Well, I live pretty much at the shop all the time.
And what's your occupation?
I'm a legitimate businessman.
Do you know Evelyn Cannon?
Yeah, I know Evie. We knocked around a little bit.
So how do you know Evelyn Cannon?
Oh, you know, during the school days, we fooled around a little bit, you know, but
A couple of years ago, I employed her as a waitress in my bar.
In October of last year, was Ms. Cannon working for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what work was she doing for you?
She was doing some waitressing, and she was also making some cappuccinos.
So she was doing regular shifts for you back in October last year?
Yeah, she did. I can recall that that week in particular, we were very busy, so she worked every night.
Did you see her? How often did you see her during October of last year?
Just when she worked, and that was quite often. Yeah.
Right.
Wait, you mean see her at the bar or see her outside of the bar?
I'm talking literally see her.
Just at work.
Right. Now, how did Evelyn Cannon wear her hair in October of last year?
Well, she changed it a little bit here and there, but I didn't like when she had it, so I told her to change it. And at that time, she was, I think, long, curly, blonde, pretty sexy, you know. Pretty elegant, I think.
Have you ever known Evelyn Cannon to have spiked hair?
Yeah, I hated it. I told her to change it, so she doesn't wear it like that anymore.
Right. When was the last time you saw her with spiked hair?
Probably just before Bali, when she went to go party or something. It was a full moon party or something. Yeah, that's when.
Yeah, and you know when that was?
Yeah, that was about a year ago.
Oh, before October of last year?
I think so.
I've got nothing further.
Thanks, Ms. Argyropoulos.
Thank you, Your Honour. Mr Fiorelli, the first time you've been
How you
asked
doing?
these questions about what happened in October last year was 2 weeks ago. Is that right?
Yeah, that is correct.
And you were asked by Evelyn Cannon's solicitor what evidence you would give if you were to give evidence at this trial?
Yeah, I did. She was a real pain.
And I suggest you're just making all this up about her hair and when she was working in October. You couldn't possibly remember October last year 2 weeks ago.
I have a very good memory.
Now, you've been in trouble with the police before, haven't you?
I have indeed, yes.
Yeah? What?
How's this question put, Ms. Argyropoulos?
Well, you're submitted. It goes to Mr. Fiorelli's the reliability and credibility of his evidence that he's given regarding Ms. Cannon's movement and appearance at the relevant time.
Yes. Is it going to be suggested that the witness has prior convictions for dishonesty?
No, Your Honour.
What is the nature of the prior convictions that's going to be alleged against him?
He has some drug-related convictions.
No, just so the jury isn't confused, there was a possessed cannabis 12 years ago and an assault-related matter. You have nothing to do with the sort of matters before this court.
So he assaulted someone when he was drug affected. I'll permit the question.
Sorry, what was that, Your Honour? I didn't...
Yep.
Could you tell the jury what sort of trouble you've been in with the police?
Yeah, I gave my tree some sun one time and I got caught. So I got in trouble for that, did about 50 hours of community service for that. And then another time I had to give a customer a bit of a thumping because he was causing trouble in the shop. So, yeah, the judge understood, you know, gave me a bond. It's all good. No biggie.
I have no further questions, Your Honour.
You've got him there. There's no re-examination? No. Very well. Does that complete your case, Ms Dixon?
Yes, it does.
Thank you. Mr Croucher, do you wish to address the jury?
Very briefly, Your Honour.
I'll hold you to that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you've seen our case. It's simple, that you should rely on what Senior Constable O'Rourke told you. He saw her that night go into the phone box. No doubt that it's her. Supported as well is her involvement is supported by the fact that Mr Porter saw someone at least who looked like her when he was shown the photo down at the train station. That's enough in and of itself to convict someone. But there's more. In this case, is evidence that she changed her appearance. Now, we've heard from Mr. Luigi, that she changed her hair every now and then. But what did Senior Constable O'Rourke tell you? That her hair was different on the day after when he saw her. Changed her hair to cover up because she thought she was in trouble. So, it's a matter for you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, and you had to listen to her as well. I mean, the things that she told the police, she was pretty cagey, she slipped a bit, wasn't much good. You should be satisfied beyond reasonable doubt. It's a matter for you, matter for you.
Thanks, Mr. Crouchy. You must have been up all night preparing that one.
I thought we'd get a bit later. I'd let it go.
Yes, Ms. Dixon.
Well, members of the jury, you heard Mr. Croucher close to you that Miss Cannon is, he says, cagey in the record of interview. Miss Cannon has been completely consistent from the moment she was spoken to by the police in denying these charges, and as you know, she's presumed innocent. This prosecution is as weak as dishwater, as flimsy...
As thin as that paper.
As thin as that paper. Speculation and folly, that's what it's about. Now, you heard from Detective O'Rourke, and he would not have impressed you as a person, as a detective who was careful and thoughtful. Did you see him produce any photographs or any video from across the street? We know these days this sort of material is available. Did you hear any evidence of phone taps linking my client to Mr. Schenko, or of other listening devices? Did you hear of any fingerprint evidence or DNA evidence linking my client to this parcel? Is there even any reliable evidence that Miss Cannon even liked him or was friendly with him? He was just some sleazy bloke in a bar who was after her phone number, like all of them. There's not even any evidence that he ever got her phone number. Don't you think if there was, the prosecution would have produced it? Nothing. Not a thing. No fingerprints, no DNA. Zilch. All we hear about is Miss or Mrs. Black Coat, 179 centimetres medium build. Supposedly walks into a phone box. Supposedly puts a silver box under the phone box. We don't even have the silver box. We don't even know whether the silver box was put in there by that woman. He was way off across the street. Quite possibly Mrs. Blackcoat had nothing to do with the silver box. It might have been there for hours. And then we hear about Mrs. Railway Locker or Miss Railway Locker. Once again, maybe had nothing to do with Mrs. Blackcoat. And this is the type of evidence, the quality of evidence the prosecution rely on. This Railway Locker person, do you think she'd be likely to be the same person as put the silver box in the phone box? Don't you think that big-time drug dealers might be a bit more cunning than to use the same courier who's dropping off the drugs as the person who goes off to the railway station and books out a locker? This case is just built on supposition and transparently ill-formed reasoning. You will have seen through it already. O'Rourke didn't even bother to check the taxi records or the phone records for my client. He had Evie in the frame because he overheard a bit of gossip in the cafe, in the bar, the night after, and you heard about that in the interview when he said to my client, I heard you tell Luigi, your boss, you knew that Taras was arrested. Well, everybody knew that Taras was arrested outside the bar that night. Members of the jury, look at Miss Cannon. Look at this frightened young woman. She's given evidence on oath. You've heard she's religious. She's joined the church. She's changed her appearance, become more conservative, as you would expect for a church-going young woman. She looks very frightened, doesn't she?
She should be.
An innocent young woman. You wouldn't convict her. And even when you come to consider your verdict, you don't have to find her innocent. You just have to find her not guilty. And in this case, as you know, the onus is on the Crown. In this case, the defence says there's not even any reason to be suspicious. But even if you were suspicious, that's not enough. You have to find guilt beyond reasonable doubt. She's never wavered. She said they got the wrong woman. She said she never touched a silver box. She never even went in that phone box. Don't let Evie Cannon down. Let her go back to her friends in the church. Back to her work in the cafe. She's not a drug dealer. You should find her not guilty.
Thank you, Ms Dixon. Madam Forelady and members of the jury, it's now the time of the trial where I have to deliver what's called my charge. And what I will endeavour to do in the next few minutes is to summarise the legal principles that you are bound by and summarise the main issues in the trial. Ultimately, decisions of fact are decisions for you, not me. Decisions of law, directions of law that I give you, you are bound by. You apply them to the findings of fact that you make, and in the process you will reach your verdict. All of you must be satisfied of your verdict beyond reasonable doubt, whether it be guilty or not guilty. Unanimity is required. Now, in this case, the prosecution invites you to conclude that Evelyn Cannon stored 100 grams of cocaine in a locker at the Southern Cross station. And 2 days later, on the 15th of November 2011, she placed the key to that locker in a telephone booth a short distance from her workplace in Canning Street, Carlton. It's uncontradicted that on the 13th of November, a person claiming to be Carmel O'Kane of Canning Street, Carlton, you'll notice the address of Evie Cannon's workplace, deposited a parcel in locker 13 at Southern Cross Station, and it is uncontradicted that that parcel was subsequently retrieved by police and found to contain 100 grams of cocaine. The prosecution, through the pithy but elegant Mr. Croucher, argue that the person who deposited the cocaine and the person who deposited the locker key 2 days later were one and the same, namely Evelyn Cannon, the defendant. The prosecution say she possessed the cocaine, that's charge 1, and that she conspired with others, namely Tarashenko, to supply it, and that's charge 2. Conspiracy is simply an agreement with another person to commit an unlawful act. The main issues that you need to consider are these. Are you satisfied beyond reasonable doubt that the person who deposited the cocaine in the locker room was the defendant? And are you satisfied beyond reasonable doubt that the person who left the key in the phone box on the 15th was Evelyn Cannon? Now, I'll turn to the evidence very briefly, which deals with the identification of the defendant, because that's at its heart what this case is about. Peter Porter, who was kind enough to grace us with his presence, has given evidence that the person in the photograph he was shown by police looks like the person who loaned or rented locker 13. He said he identified specific similarities, namely hooped earrings and short, blonde, spiked hair. You have to determine whether Evelyn Cannon was that person. Before you can convict her, you must be satisfied of that fact. In making the decision as to whether it was Evelyn Cannon who dealt with Peter Porter, it is important that you understand that he has not given evidence actually identifying her as the person who hired the locker. What he has said is that she resembles that person. Now, even if you accept this evidence as true, it only shows that Evelyn Cannon's appearance is consistent with that of the offender. It doesn't show that she is the offender, and you must not conclude from that evidence that alone that Evelyn Cannon was the person who hired the locker. Now, I'm not saying that you should ignore this evidence of similarity between Evelyn Cannon and the person who hired the locker. It is a factor that you can use together with other evidence in the case to help you determine whether or not she is the person who hired the locker. However, by itself, this evidence is not enough to identify her as the offender, and this is particularly so when the witness was only shown one photograph by police and asked if the person in the photograph was the offender. Now, you've heard defence counsel criticise quite stridently the approach of the police officers in only showing one photograph. And what I'm about to make is a comment, and you can reject it if you like. You might think that showing the witness 12 or 24 photographs, amongst which one was a photograph of the offender, would just confuse the witness and muddy the waters. One photograph of the accused, preferably a mugshot, you might think, is more than enough. Let me take you now to the second and related event, namely the identification of Evelyn Cannon by Senior Constable Paul O'Rourke as the person who placed the key to locker 13 inside the telephone booth a short distance from Luigi's bar. Ms Cannon accepts she left Luigi's bar at 1 a.m. that morning after finishing work there, and she walked past the telephone box in question. She doesn't dispute that she was the person identified by Senior Constable O'Rourke as leaving Luigi's bar. What she does dispute is that she was the person seen entering the telephone box and placing the key inside it. The person who was described by O'Rourke in more detail when she passed by him as she crossed the road. Now it is for you to determine whether Evie Cannon was the person who placed the key in the telephone booth. Before you can convict her, I need to give you some directions about identification. You must be satisfied of the identification beyond reasonable doubt. The experience of the law has shown that this evidence must be treated with great care. There have been cases in which people have been wrongly convicted because even respectable and honest witnesses have given mistaken evidence confidently identifying a particular person as the offender when in fact that person was not the offender. Because of this risk of unjustly convicting the wrong person, you need to be very careful when considering identification evidence. Mistakes can happen. Identification evidence is potentially very uncertain. You should ask yourself, did anything get in the way of the witness's view? Has the witness ever seen the person they are observing before? Did the witness have a reason for trying to observe the person involved and to remember their characteristics? Also, identification evidence depends on the witness remembering what the person they saw looked like and subsequently accurately identifying them, and that can be difficult. If, after careful examination of the identification evidence and in light of all the evidence and circumstances in the case, you are satisfied beyond reasonable doubt that the accused was correctly identified, then you can use this evidence in reaching your verdict. Now, the law says that I am required to give you that warning, and you are bound by it. You're also bound by your oaths to deliver a verdict that is true to the evidence, and in delivering that verdict, you do not abandon your common sense. It seems to me, Mr Foreman, or Madam Forelady, I'm sorry, and members of the jury, it comes down to this. Is Evelyn Cannon unlucky enough to have an impersonator stalking her and carrying out highly incriminating acts using poor Evelyn as a cover, or is she a drug trafficker? That's the issue, and I'll leave it to you. You may retire now for a couple of minutes to consider your verdict.
Your Honour, I have a number of exceptions to this charge.
Rejected.
And I'll take them up in the Court of Appeal. I seek a discharge.
They won't be long. Now, ladies and gentlemen, while the jury are out, we traditionally at this stage have a show of hands to see what the balance of the jury panel who didn't make it onto the jury think. Would all those who would have found the accused guilty raise their hands, please? Yes.
Including this bloke over here.
Those not guilty, raise their hands, please.
Yeah.
I think the not guilties have it. We'll see if the jury agrees. I think they've had long enough. Would you get the jury back, please? Is James gone, has he? Oh, no, wait.
Order for the entire table, is it? Just that one judge? Oh, there's that one there.
Using the council?
Yeah.
That's what you should be doing then. I think James might be on the next one.
You going to get James? Go and get James, the associate. He's outside.
Oh, is he?
I'm going to get the jury.
Juliet. Miss James.
You go.
And is he in with the jury, is he?
The other one. The other one.
He's bringing him out, is he? Yep.
First day of school, this video gets shown.
I don't know.
Video doing it for 90 minutes, sort of shifting positions.
What we doing is two extra. That's two
Be one long YouTube video. No.
Madam Forlady, members of the jury, have you reached a verdict?
Yes.
How do you find Evelyn Cannon, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Madam Forlady and members of the jury, may I thank you very much on behalf of the community for your strict and attentive following of the evidence throughout this case. You are now discharged from jury duty, and I direct that you never sit on a jury again. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Adjourn the court.
Silence, all stand. This honourable court stands adjourned, sign and die. God save the Queen.